Hello. We are starting a new series here to introduce us to the Major Arcana cards, especially, getting to know them, understand them, and feel that we can work with them in new ways. I've chosen, just kind of off the top of my head, card number 5, the Hierophant. He seems to be a very polarizing influence in the Major Arcana. Whenever you see him in a reading, he can go either way, from being a hero to a villain, and sometimes within the same reading. So I am calling this one the Frenemy of the Major Arcana, the Hierophant, the Frenemy of the Major Arcana. Now the Hierophant is often referred to as the Pope in some older decks, as is indicated by this shot of the Hierophant card in the Robin Wood tarot, and it represents authority. It represents education, teaching, and it also represents tradition. So the authority comes through as being an institutionalized authority, something that is very well, very staid and true and slow to change. Now, some modern decks have undertaken to update the card a bit, and this shot of the very same card in the Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Cyril Marchetti is titled Faith, and it tends to broaden the scope of the meaning a bit so that it includes other traditions and emphasizes the tradition part of the Hierophant. So it depends on how you appreciate the card as to exactly the feeling that you're going to get from it. But traditionally, the interpretation for this card is one of authority and teaching and tradition. Now, the interesting part that makes this the Hierophant the frenemy, I guess, is on the one hand, he can be a very comforting presence in our lives. In times of stress, when things are not going well, there's a certain reassurance that comes from the structure of having something that is so tried and true and time tested. It makes decisions easier because some of the decision making process has already been handled. You don't have to start from scratch. You can start from a basis point and know that you are within the parameters that are provided by the structure. It also offers you a shared responsibility. So even if you aren't exactly right in your decision, it's okay because you had good authority in making the decision. There's also what I call a safety of belief. Once you are convinced of something, there is a particular safety in that feeling of believing and knowing that you are, that is what belief is knowing that you are correct and knowing that you're right. So in this area, the Hierophant is a comforting presence. And I sometimes refer to them as the chicken soup. You know, when you are a little feverish, there's nothing like a bowl of chicken soup. The familiar eases the stress of the situation. It's very soothing to have someone and something that you can fall back on as support. Sometimes it is absolutely necessary to have this kind of support, just to preserve your own sanity. There's also fellowship. Finding people of like mind is important to all of us, and that is often provided by the traditions in our lives. Now, by the same token, in the very same reading, this very same card can become the opposite, can become an irritating presence, because it's confining. There's no room for decision making. Remember how comforting we thought it was when some of the decision making was taken care of? Now it can be a problem. There are too many impossible rules, things that we are expected to do that we just don't feel are right for us. The individuality is gone. There are too many demands on our time. Suddenly, the time that we want to spend in creative activity is being required elsewhere within the tradition and within the structure, within whatever it is that is being represented here by the Hierophant. There are also demands on resources. Suddenly, our money is very important as well to the traditional institution. So these things all combine to make this kind of a burdensome kind of presence rather than a comforting and uplifting one. Now, the thing to remember is that the energy of the tradition, the energy of the authority, the energy of the institution has not changed a bit. It's only our acceptance and appreciation of that energy that has shifted and changed. So it is actually really the original love-hate relationship. It is what when I refer to him as the frenemy of the Major Arcana, it's a love-hate relationship. So we need to kind of become aware of our own shifting attitudes. When and why and how did our attitudes shift from appreciation to resentment? So when you think about the Hierophant, I always like to come up with questions that they present to us. And the Hierophant presents us with the question of what was happening when this energy was comfortable and comforting. What was going on in my life that made me respect and welcome the assistance of a traditional institution? And then the next question might be, when did your perception of the energy shift? What happened in my life that made me go from respect and admiration to resentment and get me out of here? And then the last one is a very big question, because how has this polarizing energy shaped the big decisions in our lives? We all make big decisions, and we have lots of input that we collect, whether it be information from friends and family, mentors, or even those traditional institutions that we've been talking about. So you use all this information in order to make the big decisions in your life. So how was your relationship with the traditions and authority figures in your life responsible and helpful, or even somewhat of a distraction when you were making a big decision? All things worthy of considering. Now, this is, like I say, a brand new series. I'm just starting it out. So as you follow along, you may want to learn more about how I look at tarot. And you can do that by visiting my website, which is kevinwalder.com. Or I've got a brand new site that is just coming online, and it is called easytarotclass.com, through which we'll offer some online tarot classes. So I hope to see you back when I put out the next card. Thank you very much for showing up today. Thank you.